Gratitude. Why is it that we only talk about this word during the month of November when Thanksgiving comes around? See, gratitude has a power to elevate our lives and transform organizational cultures and communities. In this episode of the Passion with Purpose show, we're going to explore the effects of practicing gratitude both within ourselves and the organizations in which we live, work, and play. Welcome back to another episode of the Passion with Purpose show. I'm your host, Steven Mezzacapa, the founder and owner of the Passion with Purpose organization, a leadership development company that builds passionate leaders, teams, and organizations. I'm your host, Steven Mezzacapa. Let's dive into this episode about practicing gratitude. So Passion with Purpose is a lot of things. If you've come across my channel, you'd notice I've done videos about faith, about my book, Passion with Purpose, The Fire Within. And also I love to do work with organizations to help communities and to create these cultures of teamwork within organizations. As such, as I'm filming this, it's the week of Thanksgiving, believe it or not. Yeah, I can't believe it's Thanksgiving, like tomorrow, actually. So I got a lot of work to get this video out there. But the goal of this video and this episode is to really be timeless. I'm going to talk about gratitude within the context of organizational cultures. And that could be in the business world, that could be in schools, any type of group or community. You see, gratitude is very much this interpersonal exchange. But if it's done well, it really could transform communities and organizations. And that's what we're going to talk about in this episode. To better understand how practicing gratitude has an impact on our lives and within the organizations we live, work, or play, I want to talk a little bit more about gratitude and offer quite a few different perspectives of what gratitude means and what it is, both from a spiritual standpoint, an academic standpoint, research, all that. I want to go through the perspective of it. So let's start with gratitude itself. It comes from the Latin word gratia, which is Latin for grace, graciousness, and thankfulness. Probably shouldn't be surprised. Practicing gratitude is saying thankful, but we're going to get there a little bit deeper. But gratitude, here's another definition from a psychologist. He says, gratitude has to do with kindness, generousness, gifts, the beauty of giving and receiving, or getting something for nothing. That's a key distinction to mention here when it comes to gratitude. Getting something for nothing. You see, gratitude is different than what we get when we, provide someone with a good or service. You give someone money, right? Someone gives you a good or service, you provide the money, value, monetary exchange. But the thank you, the exchange happens after that. That's what cements that transaction. We'll come back to that. Psychologists also discuss gratitude as being a personality trait, a skill, or a state, kind of within the instance of someone practicing gratitude. This is pretty interesting too, and we'll talk a little bit about that later. I'm not the biggest fan of saying that gratitude is a personality trait because some people will use it as an excuse to just not practice gratitude. So I think that's a little lame, but we'll continue here. Dalai Lama famously said, "Be kind whenever possible. It is always possible." In other words, it is always possible to express your gratitude and say thank you. Finally, in the book of Matthew, Jesus says, "Love your neighbor as yourself." Quite a few different perspectives of what gratitude is. And I think it's important to cement that in our own minds of what we think gratitude is. A lot of it really comes down to respect, treating others the way you want to be treated, saying thank you when someone goes out of the way to help you. One other perspective of gratitude I want to offer, especially as it relates to organizational cultures and organizations in general, is this view of gratitude as a pyramid. And this was done and developed by Ryan Fair, who's a professor out of University of Washington and specializes in things like ethics, morality, and leadership. And he discusses that there's three aspects to gratitude in the organizational environment. The first one is episodic gratitude, second one's persistent gratitude, and the third one is collective gratitude. And each of these levels of gratitude kind of build up on one another. Episodic gratitude occurs at the event level, persistent gratitude occurs at the individual level, and collective gratitude occurs at the organizational level. The episodic gratitude occurring at the event level is when we exchange thanks. It's the instance of practicing gratitude. But the thing about gratitude is that it grows and it's also residual, meaning it has kind of a timeless effect because people are going to remember when you said thank you, and also remember when you didn't say thank you. And this is where persistent gratitude comes into play. And just to give you an example to better, explain and define what this persistent gratitude means. So, for example, let's say a boss really did a really good job of expressing gratitude to one of their employees. Later on, months could go by, and this employee could be working on a project, really pushing through towards a head deadline. But back in their mind, they're going to remember that their boss is generally does a good job of practicing gratitude towards that employee. The thing about this that's powerful is that in that moment, it's going to motivate that person to continually to push through. It's going to motivate that employee to continue pushing, and it's not persistent. So that's where this idea of persistent gratitude comes from. It's this idea that people remember how people express gratitude. And when you have individuals practicing gratitude with one another, and you have people reflecting on it and feeling that they work in a grateful workplace, that does grow into collective gratitude at the organizational level, which really creates this whole culture of gratitude. And a couple of things to point out is that episodic gratitude, when one colleague thanks another colleague, that results in what psychologists call organizational citizenship behaviors. These are tasks that one colleague could do for another colleague that's outside their scope of work, but they do it to be a good citizen in the workplace, to help their colleague. And then when it comes to collective gratitude, some of the benefits that occur here is overall organizational resilience for a company. Another thing I want to discuss are the benefits of gratitude. In the physiological part of us, the psychological impact of gratitude, and especially the organizational impacts of gratitude. From a physiological standpoint of gratitude, it lowers cortisol, which is our stress hormone. It increases sleep quality, lowers blood pressure, decelerates the effects of neurodegeneration, and decreases the risk for diabetes. So all positive health benefits from practicing gratitude. On the psychological side, there are positive impacts as well. Some of them include is that practicing gratitude increases the ability to cope with stress. It reduces toxic emotions, improves self-esteem, increases optimism and hope, and also decreases anxiety and depression. One thing interesting to mention about gratitude is, and it's still a question that's still being debated, is if does gratitude come from joy or does practicing gratitude create joy? Honestly, I think it depends on the circumstances. But I do believe that you could, take on this posture of gratitude personally, no matter what's going on around you, which then could grow into some joy within your life and so on. But we'll come back to some of those things in a little bit. At the organizational level, within the workplace, practicing gratitude has a huge impact. It promotes higher levels of psychological safety, and psychological safety is a willingness of employees to take interpersonal risks alongside their peers. In other words, people feel more comfortable in psychological safe environments to share their honest and authentic ideas, to really be themselves. And it's scientifically proven that people who operate in psychologically safe environments and teams, they're more innovative, they're more productive, and they just overall have a higher output of work performance. A couple other benefits of practicing gratitude at the organizational level is that it fosters greater interpersonal relationships and increases teamwork and altruism, improves organizational citizenship behaviors, as we discussed, and increases the likelihood of generalized reciprocity, which means people, someone does something for me, I'm going to do something for them. It kind of just builds. Again, gratitude grows and builds. And finally, a couple other benefits is that it increases organizational resilience and then increases overall performance. So some of these probably seem like common sense, but sometimes we need to just remind ourselves of the positive benefits of gratitude. And I hope there's a few in there that you learned now. But what's interesting when it comes to gratitude, I think we all know it's a good thing. I think we all know it's going to feel good for us if we express gratitude to someone else. And I think we know that who in the workplace doesn't want to feel gratitude. In fact, gratitude, a lack of appreciation is one of the reasons why employees leave their jobs, believe it or not. A lot of this could be common sense. So why do we not practice gratitude when we should? Well, there are some barriers to gratitude. And a lot of it really stems from our own mindset, time, and the value that we put on gratitude. And just to give you some examples, some people might think, it's awkward to express gratitude in this situation, or I don't have time to thank this person. Some might think, it's not really my personality. I'm just not a gracious person. I think that's bogus, but that's my opinion. And some people might even say that that person doesn't deserve my gratitude. That's also toxic and unhealthy as well. And some people even wonder, what difference does it make? What difference is this gratitude? There was actually a study done to kind of measure the perception that givers of gratitude feel versus what the recipient experiences when gratitude is expressed. These researchers had people write gratitude letters to various people. And what they did was the people who were going to express gratitude, they surveyed their thoughts on the exchange. But then they also surveyed the individuals that were receiving these gratitude letters. And what they found was that the expressors of gratitude completely overestimated the awkwardness and completely underestimated how much these gratitude letters would mean to the recipients. So in other words, we could be pretty wrong. We could withhold gratitude because we think it doesn't make much of a difference on someone's life, or we might think it's awkward. But really, it's just our own mind getting in the way of doing something we know is really going to benefit someone else. And I think it's really important to always take those opportunities and express gratitude, because especially in the workplace, life is tough and everyone's balancing an array of emotions, an array of the challenges of life. And the last thing you want a colleague to feel is for them to feel like they're not appreciated. If someone thinks, I don't think anyone appreciates me, that is a thought that an initial start, not too many problems, but it could grow. Think about your own. If you feel like no one appreciates you, that's not a fun place to be. So why would we want other people to feel that way, to feel this lack of appreciation? So always give gratitude, even when it's unwarranted in any situation. Always say thank you. And look, there are so many different ways to practice gratitude. And I think it really comes down to practicing gratitude within your own self. Not taking for granted the things that we should be grateful for. Taking moments and reflecting. Not thinking about what we don't have, but thinking about the things we do have. And I know social media makes it nearly impossible today. I could be in a great apartment, enjoying my life, then I go on social media and I see Sally's got a big boat. I see Johnny's got a big house. I see this guy's eating something good for dinner and I'm eating salad. Maybe I'll cut that out. But the bottom line is, social media makes it almost impossible. Makes it really difficult to practice gratitude internally. But we need to not covet what other people have. That is going to rob you of this gracious living and this living and practicing gratitude within your own self. And I feel as though that when you are content with what you have and grateful for what you have, it makes it that much easier to express your gratitude to others. And there's a lot of different ways to practice gratitude. But I don't want to get into all the minutiae of that and all the complexities and details, because it doesn't need to be. Practicing gratitude is as simple as just saying thank you, especially interpersonally with someone else. It's just as simple as saying thank you. And I encourage you to commit to it. Commit to saying thank you more often. Commit to expressing to others how grateful you are and how you appreciate someone. If someone goes above and beyond to help you with something, thank them for it. Don't just let it go and be simple. Commit to it and just do it and just express your gratitude to that person. And what's interesting when it comes to gratitude, I'm sure you've probably already heard the importance of journaling. And I agree. I think journaling is very positive and helpful in this place of gratitude, or not taking things for granted. So I want to encourage you in this video now to do a few things. You could pause it as I talk to them, but I encourage you to do it, to start living with gratitude and start practicing gratitude so it becomes this exercise and habit that you could exercise on a daily basis, not just wait for Thanksgiving or for November to come around, but make gratitude a part of your daily life every day of the year. Here's a few things I want to encourage you to do. First thing I want to encourage you to do is to reflect and identify one thing that you have been taking for granted, whatever that may be. Identify whatever you've been taking for granted and consciously associate gratitude with that thing. No longer take for granted. Be grateful for that thing. Second, identify one person that you're going to go and express appreciation to this week. Not someone that's immediately in your life that you would become, but think of someone recently that didn't need to help you and they helped you. But identify one person that's outside the norm of who you typically engage with, and thank that person, whether through text, call them up, or it could be even someone like a cashier at a restaurant, at a grocery store. Just go and express thanks to that person. And lastly, I want you to identify one act of gratitude that you could start practicing on a daily basis for the next 3 weeks, so it becomes a habit. Maybe that's as simple as journaling the things you're grateful for. Maybe it's making a conscious commitment every single day to not entertain thoughts of jealousy or envy. Or maybe it's just making a conscious effort every single day to thank your friends, your family, or your colleagues at work for the good work they do and whatever they do to add value to your life. I encourage you to reflect on a few of these things and act on them as you continually grow in practicing gratitude, because not only is it going to impact your personal life, it can impact the lives of other people around you and take the culture of the communities you engage with to a whole other level as well. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Passion with Purpose show. If you want to learn more information, you can go to passionwithpurpose.org on my website. I'm also giving away a few free chapters from my book, Passion with Purpose, The Fire Within, Building a Life of Fulfillment, Destiny, and Impact. If you want to get those free chapters, you could go to passionwithpurpose.org/fulfillment. Thank you for being with me, and take care. God bless, and happy Thanksgiving if you're watching this on Thanksgiving.